Hey everybody, this is Gigi your face, and I want to be talking about a game between IdrA and Rigi. IdrA will be playing as the red Zerg at the upper right hand corner, and Rigi will be playing as the blue Zerg at the lower left hand corner. At first, I want to apologize. There are some errors. Somebody, not me, somebody mislabeled the thingies. Well, actually it was me. So I said some of them were in round 1, 2, or 3, but some of them are in 2 and 3, so I fixed it. And this is a round 3 game between IdrA and Rigi has already lost one game, so he needs to win this one to not be sent to the losers bracket. So IdrA is ahead a little bit. We'll see how that plays into effect as this game progresses. IdrA has taken the extractor for his main, and Rigi is putting down a spawning pool first. IdrA really likes to have those Zergling speed for his Zerglings, and the spawning pool is going down, so we can see here that the spawning pool is slightly behind the spawning pool of Rigi, but IdrA will have gas as Rigi does spot exactly what IdrA have with his drone. That also means that he's going to be slightly behind economically as well, or maybe not. He is behind significantly on gas, but in terms of minerals, he is about the same at the moment. If I make any mistakes, do correct me in the comment section, or send me a suggestion via the mail thingy or the message. A lot of things are going on at the map at this moment, as a whole bunch of overlords are hovering above each other, and this overlord is going to be playing a key part of the game because the Zergs don't really have that great anti-air, and the overlords will be able to spot a lot of the action for these players as the game gets going. And metabolic boost is currently being researched for IdrA, whereas the other player, Rigi, has thrown down a warrant. He's only getting 4 Zerglings now, and a couple of more Zerglings coming out for IdrA. IdrA really likes to do his Zergling harass with the speed. Because of the speed, he can choose when to engage and when not to engage. A couple of Zerglings running out of the base of IdrA as he's heading downwards. Once again, the color for IdrA is red and the color for Rigi is blue. If you look over here, if you want to keep track of what's going on, APM super duper spam, and there, ooh, wow, for the very first time IdrA is not winning the APM battle. Not that that really has any significance, but Rigi is pretty much clicking away at a lot of stuff, and very nice spread of the queens, and a couple of Zerglings should be able to deter IdrA's attack, and he's gonna come in anyway, and the queen doesn't actually, ooh, the queen gets a whack, and the queen gets a kill, and a couple of Zerglings are gonna go back or not go back. They faked running backwards, caught the other Zerglings out of position. These drones are a little bit sort of out of position, I believe, and that's okay. And the roaches have spawned, and the Zerglings will have to fall back. The roach warrant has been started by IdrA as he realizes he cannot stay on Zergling tech forever, as his metabolic boost is about to be finished, and he's also making a couple more Zerglings. And we do see one Overlord for Rigi overlooking the natural expansion for IdrA directly outside, and a couple of Zerglings running across the map, not really getting on the towers, and the Zerglings really want to get in, but this is absolute perfect placement of those roaches blocking the entrance perfectly, and the Zerglings are just wandering outside. And this is Rigi's Overlord, and IdrA's Overlord is going to come over here and try to take a look to see what's going on inside. In the meantime, Rigi will be upgrading to the lair tech, and maybe he's going to get some Mutalisk or some other advanced technologies, as IdrA is not too happy at the moment as he cannot attack. This is really the perfect formation for roaches, and ooh, they're coming outside, and IdrA is going to run right away. Very nice micro there from both players, reacting to each other's actions, not really wanting to engage, trying to catch each other off guard. That is what all high level play is all about. And Roach Warren, Spawning Pool, Extractor, a couple of roaches coming out for IdrA at the moment as we take a look at the, ooh, Evolution Chamber is going down for Rigi. As we take a look at the army size, both players exactly the same, 42 to 42. And if we take a look at the income, should be relatively the same as well, but Rigi does have an additional gas, so he does have a slight gas advantage, and he does have a slight mineral disadvantage. That is the minor differences so far. Army count pretty much the same, couple of roaches, 7 roaches to be exact. IdrA has a ton more, almost double the number of Zerglings. And we do see the upgrade is being completed for the roaches, the Global Constitution, along with the missile attacks for Rigi, and IdrA is going to be upgrading to lair slightly after Rigi, and he's also getting his extractor as well. Both players not wanting to make a mistake. Actually, I think Rigi is a little bit more tense at this moment as he has lost game number 1, so he really wants to get this one under his belt. And we do see not too much action right now. A lot of staring at each other going on, and these two overlords are flying in sync across the map to the natural expansion. Both players are getting Killer Constitution now. IdrA is a little bit slower. It's a little bit unusual because he's usually the faster of the two to tech or to macro up. He is slightly behind here in terms of teching to Rigid, and Rigid is going to finish his lair tech a little bit quicker than IdrA will. And Rigid is going to come here with the Overseer. He might get this Overseer sniped as the Queen is trying to chase him down. There's not too much action going on here. We can see a lot of movement on the minimap, but nothing is engaging. And this Overseer really needs to get away. And he does get away cleanly with 27 HP. Some of the Zerglings running backwards. Not quite sure why. The Overseer for IdrA is going to come in here and try to take a look. And he will see a quite substantial amount of the Roaches, as the Roaches are going to be going outside. I think that was a very, very good scout for IdrA, as he really needs to know this, and he's also moving his Zerglings back, which is exactly what he needs to do. We see about almost 2 rows full of Roaches versus 2 row -1, so IdrA has 1 less Roach, and he's also making a Spine Crawler with the detection from his Overseer. The Overseer for Rigid is hovering above, and we might see Huge Gimmick. This is very, very good for IdrA. Very, very nice spread. You want them to be bunched up here, and we might see an engagement between Rigid and IdrA as he's thinking about it. And no, 71 to 73, 73 to 73. Both players pretty much exactly the same as 2 Overlords, 2 Overseers, and the Overlord hugging out over there. And we see a Changeling coming up, and ooh, immediately gets shot by a whole bunch of stuffs. And the upgrades right now 0-0 versus 1-0, so Rigid does have a slight advantage. This is a little bit reminiscent of the last game when IdrA had an advantage in terms of upgrades, and now IdrA is going to move out, seeing that his opponent has decided to back off, and his opponent has also gotten the hatchery as well. So I guess his opponent was able to delay him a little bit, as IdrA is getting his own evolution chamber along with getting a couple of more Roaches. The unit counting station shows 82 to 82. This is an extremely tight race, as both players are trying not to be the one to make the first mistake. You really don't want the momentum to swing to your opponent's side. As we take a look, a lot of Roaches, a couple of Zerglings for both players, and 1 Queen and 1 Overseer. Pretty much the same, except IdrA has a couple more drones. We see a couple of Roaches moving across the middle of the map under this Overlord, but this Overlord will spot it for IdrA, so he knows it's coming. And we see a nice spread, and there's going to be 1 Spine Crawler in the middle with creep spread by the Overlord. Very, very nice play there. A very good defensive structure against these Roaches, as the Roaches do not want to engage. IdrA has just recently started his +1 missile attacks for the Roaches as well. Once again, slightly behind Rigid in this game. Rigid is getting an Infestation Pit, something that IdrA has been getting a lot for Roaches plus Infestors. And IdrA is just checking out the base of Rigid. Now, Rigid not willing to commit to an attack, even though I think this might have been a misset rally point, as a Zergling is running about checking the Xel'Naga Watchtower, and this one is checking the other expansion. So not that many units lost yet. If we take a look at the units lost tab, this is oddly low, 25 to 250. I mean, it's already about 12 minutes in game time, and that is very, very low number. And 2 Roaches are in the middle of the map, and these Roaches are coming in. Very, very nice pattern here. A nice wall of stuffs to attack your opponents with, and this is also a very nice place. Spine Crawler, as Rigid has just gotten his gas, but IdrA already has his gas up for quite some time, and 2 Roaches are a little bit out of position. I think those are Roaches that was a little bit too eager, and ooh, they get cornered here by the Zerglings. If they get cornered and they can't get out, they're not attacking the Zerglings, they're just stuck moving. This Zergling is running across the map, checking out a little bit. Another Overseer is falling back. Army count right now 108 to 113, and IdrA has recently started the Infestation Pit, but I think the Infestation Pit is already complete for Rigid. I mean, IdrA has started the Infestation Pit. And a couple of more Roaches on the wave, and we do see 1 Infestor coming out for Rigid, as the game is approaching that mid or maybe almost late stage. +1 is being researched by IdrA as he's thinking about taking down this gold expansion. We do see the upgrade is being done for the Overlord speed, I believe, for Rigid, as 2 Infestors are going to come out on top of this one that already exists. Unit counting station does show 116 to 124, slight in favor of IdrA now in terms of unit count, and both players are upgrading the +2 weapon, but as we can see here, Rigid is a little bit far in both of these upgrades for the Overlord and Overseer speed, as well as the +2 upgrades. A couple of units moving across the middle of the map. This is a very, very tense match. There's 2 Overlords here, 2 Overlords here, just Overlords everywhere, getting sight of everything that they want to see. And he's also getting this location, but this location is not guarded. A couple of Zerglings trying to come in here, maybe possibly snipe it, probably not, as the roaches are showing up and they're going to run away. Zerglings are faster than roaches, so you can pick your battles if you have the upgrade. There's a changeling here, and that does get taken down by IdrA. It's like, hey, that's not my unit, and whap, it goes. And the invitation pit is about to finish the research for the rotten glands. That gives you an additional 25 energy, and Rigi is on top of things, as IdrA has not yet taken a third where his opponent Rigi has. And we see Rigi moving across the middle of the map, might be thinking about doing an attack. He does have 3 infestors with him. IdrA does not have any infestors with his army at the moment, and they're gonna come in here and infest some funky stuff. If he can get the fungal growth on some of these roaches, will be able to weaken them severely, and this +2 versus +1 at the moment. IdrA does not his second upgrade finish, won't be for another about 80 seconds, so that is a minute or so window that he does have open for Rigi to take a lead, but Rigi falls back. When you click on your opponent's items, the units, you can actually see their upgrades. So if you see you're ahead in upgrades and you're about the same number, I would always suggest that you do engage, because you have that advantage, because by the time your opponent upgrades it, you'll be on even footing once again, so your upgrades are not going to pay the dividends they should have paid, in my opinion. And we see a couple of Zerglings going to the side, and we see 2 huge army over here, and IdrA is gonna fungal growth. He fungal growths twice, Rigi getting that little bit of an advantage, and Rigi is gonna try to fungal growth him back. Another fungal growth goes off, catching the Overseer as well. IdrA just very, very happy cutting down this hatchery on the side as well with those Zerglings, and we see 1 fungal growth, 2 fungal growth, and Rigi very, very smartly moving back just enough so that these roaches over here do not engage a lot, and he killed off a couple of roaches on the side. These roaches are hurting. Another fungal growth goes down for IdrA. This is just a lot of exchanges right now, pretty much even, because IdrA has finished his +2, and some infested Terrans are being popped out by IdrA as these units are lining side by side, shooting at each other, and there's a lot of green stuff going. If you're wondering what's happening right now, IdrA did lose more units that confrontation because Rigi had a really, really good 2 fungal growths. After he fungal growth IdrA's unit, he pulled back, and some of IdrA's units went forward, and most of IdrA's units weren't doing too much, and I think that's what helped them. And he snipes one of the infestors. He's going to come in here. Both players making a lot more roaches, and Rigi is also researching burrow. IdrA looks like he's in a little bit of trouble here, as infested Terrans are going to come out, but Rigi is going to fall back. He has very, very low HP, and IdrA knows this because he sees it, and he's going to try to come in here and snipe. Additional roaches are arriving for both players on both sides, and they're making a lot of roaches. Army size right now 116 to 104. Rigi does have a slight advantage, and he also has slightly more drones. And if we take a look at the income tab, right now IdrA is hurting a little bit as this gold saturation is not up, but this saturation is getting there for his opponent. He's also getting 2 gases. A couple of infestors falling back with the roaches. Man, this is not looking good for IdrA. A lot of Overlords just hang out here like a line, like a parade of dances. A couple of infestors going in, and we see the burrow for Rigi. I don't think if that was the best idea or what, because IdrA's Overlords are right there. And I mean, if you suddenly see a whole pack of blue or red disappear from your eyes, you'll know something's up. I mean, he might not know that they're not moving. He might think that they're moving around the map. That might psych him out a bit, but if you see something like that disappear, you will know your opponent have burrow. And right now, IdrA is getting the full saturation up on his base. He's pretty much on even footing in terms of minerals, but not in terms of gas. His opponent does have a lead on gas, particularly in army size right now. 148 versus 132, a slight advantage for Rigi, as IdrA is also getting the burrow for his units, and a couple of Zerglings coming in once again trying to snipe off this hatchery. Hatchery is at 180, 160, 150. I think if he committed a little bit more of those Zerglings or a couple of more roaches, he would have gotten this hatchery sniped, but I think he might be thinking about doing that just now. Spire is just complete for Rigi at the moment, as some of the roaches for Rigi is going to try to defend this position. He knows that if he loses this, he's going to lose the advantage he had of having it up. A lot of roaches are coming out, and we see Corruptors and a Greater Spire. This is very confusing for Rigi. That is a very, very confusing way, as well as +2 upgrades. One roach for IdrA is making the trip around the side to try to get a grasp of what's going on, and we see a huge army moving out. A lot of roaches, 44 roaches versus 50 roaches from IdrA, both about the same upgrades right now, but Rigi is getting more upgrades, and he's also getting corruptors. I'm not quite sure why you get corruptors, as